loss aversion is what happens when you do not accept the fact that you will have trading losses. Okay, loss aversion can manifest itself in many different ways, but what it is, it's the act of averting losses or attempting to prevent losses. Maybe you'll overanalyze the market, preventing you from entering into a trade, okay, only to turn around and find out that it was a good trade. It was a simple setup that you didn't trade because you overanalyzed the market because you were afraid to take a loss. Overly aggressive trade management, okay, creating an unnecessary amount of break-even trades. A lot of traders out here will try to prevent losses by, instead of giving a trade room to breathe, they'll jam their stop loss up to break even very quickly. Very quickly. The market pulls back, stops the trade out of break even, and then continues to rally or continues to decline to the projected target area. Okay, now there's times where we want to be a little bit more aggressive with our trade management, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, but we always want to have sound reasons for why we are reducing our risk or removing our risk on the trade. Okay, we don't just want to jam the stop loss up to break even very quickly because we're afraid of the market coming back and taking a loss. Okay, that is loss aversion. Taking profits too early, cutting them short, effectively negating the initial reward to risk ratio. Okay, how many times have you entered into a trade and you see it moving very nicely in your favor, and then maybe it starts to pull back a little bit, and we just talked about this, it's not over till it's over, but the market starts to pull back in the normal ebb and flow of the market, and you're afraid to give back. Okay, that's the wording, give back, even though they're not yours yet. Give back those pips. That's the way your mind thinks. And now you're closing out the trade. Okay, only to watch it pull back a little bit and then continue on to the target. Okay, and you won't do that on the other side. All right, if the market starts to go against you, now all of a sudden, you're hoping and wishing that it turns around. You're not considering closing that trade. Okay, you have a stop loss in place for that, right? Okay, so don't do it on the other side either. Okay, don't become loss averse. I've seen folks take it to the extreme, and I know I've told this story a few times to some of the Forex Mentor members, but I've actually seen traders that made a mistake in a trade and they wanted to get out, and they would not close that trade because it was maybe 1 pip or 2 pips in the minus. All right, they had the opportunity to get out of the trade, basically with the spread, but they did not close the trade because it was negative 1 or 2 pips, only to watch that trade then go even more negative and more negative and more negative. Okay, but that's how strong of a psychological pull a loss can actually have on traders. Okay, you can also emotionally react to the market and close trades without a sound technical reason. Okay, if you're being loss averse, you're going to react emotionally. And then there's even, I didn't put it on here as a bullet point, but there's even the extreme side of this where some traders will move their stop loss further and further and further and further away, okay, justifying why they're moving it, saying the market's going to turn, it has to turn sometime, it has to pull back, because they're afraid to let that stop get hit and take that loss. And I've actually seen it so bad to where people have gone down such a large amount of their accounts, they've just removed the stop loss completely and said this trade's either going to turn around or it's going to blow the account out. So they basically continued to move that stop until they gave up. They gave up on the entire account if it couldn't turn around. They had lost so much. Obviously, that's a very extreme situation, okay, but it happens. I've seen it, and I've seen it more than once. Folks, losses are part of this business. Accept it, manage your risk, and everything will be fine.